It's Adam again with the Bath Refinishing resource. In this video, I wanted to talk about the refinishing process. Once we do actually arrive on site, usually we start by masking off the surrounding area around the item that we're going to be coating. This is to protect it from getting overspray. It's also to just make cleanup easier. Now, depending on certain houses and layouts and stuff like that, you might want to do some masking before we arrive. If you have a closet very close to the bathroom, you might want to put a sheet over the whole doorway or something like that. Basically, any amount of masking you do before we get there is just going to make cleanup and everything a lot easier. The surface, after we mask everything, we're going to be doing surface repairs. So if there is chipping on the item, we're going to fill that chip in, smooth it out. Same goes for scratches. If there is cracking, then we're going to have to possibly do a reinforcement repair on the crack and then smooth it out. If there is a prior coating on the surface, we're going to have to remove that. We call that reconditioning. Other companies call it stripping, but we would get that old coat off of there. And that's pretty much it for as far as like the repairs and stuff. Once the repairs are done and it's mostly masked off, we're going to do a high intensity cleaning. And that is a dual purpose of getting contaminants and stuff like that off of the item so that our coat is going to bond, but it's also going to etch the surface. We want to make sure that whatever we're coating is going to get a very high material bond. And in order to do that, we need to dull it a little bit. If you looked at it with a magnifying glass or a microscope, you would see that there's little pits and grooves in the surface after the etching, and that's really what our material soaks into to get that good high bond. Once the high intensity cleaning is done, then the item is going to be dried thoroughly, and then any masking that might have come loose or gotten damaged is going to be reapplied, and then we're going to start the actual coating. So the coat goes on usually in two different parts. The first layer is called a primer coating, and that's applied with an airbrush. The technician is going to be spraying that onto the surface, and we tell people it's going to get about 2 to 4 layers roughly. And a layer is basically you spray from right to left. That's one layer. Left to right is another layer, top to bottom, and so on. Depending on the skill of the technician and just their preference, it might be 2 layers or it might be 4. Really, it comes down to how evenly they can get that coating on there without having runs. But our goal always is to get that coating as thick as we can without having a run on the surface. Once the primer is fully applied, then they need to let that set up for a little bit. So they're going to take the equipment out, start cleaning it out, and getting ready for the top coat. Usually within about 15 minutes or so, it's ready for the top coat application. So they'll come back in with all the equipment. And the top coat is going to be the color that you choose, and it's also going to be the grade that you choose. Once they're ready for the coating, it's going to be the same process, 2 to 4 layers or so of the top coat. And once he's done with the final spraying, then that's really when the curing time starts. Curing time is going to be anywhere between 24 and 48 hours. It just kind of depends. It will be fairly smelly. Usually for the first 6 hours or so, 6 to 12 hours, it's going to be pretty smelly in there. But the coating is going to be curing. It's very imperative that you do not touch the surface or let anything fall into it or brush against it or anything like that during that time. Because the coat, it does start to get tacky pretty fast. And if you've ever touched wet paint, you know that you're going to leave a depression in it, or when you pull your hand away, it's going to rise up the surface. And that's just going to cause something that we have to repair. The caulking around a sink or a tub or anything like that is usually removed during the prepping process. And it's up to the technician if they're going to recaulk the same time or if they prefer that recaulking is done afterwards. If the recaulking is done after the fact, like after it's cured, then you have the option of having the technician come back and pay for them to redo the caulking. Or that might have already been arranged prior to booking or anything. If they do it as part of the job, then basically the job will be pretty much done at that point, and you just have to wait for the curing time before you can start touching it and using it. There will be some cleanup that's going to be done. So we're going to be removing as much masking tape and paper, all that kind of stuff, as we possibly can. But on certain items, if we have to really reach over the item to get to the tape edge or the masking, then we might opt to leave it up until the coating is dry. And then it would be the customer's responsibility to go and remove any of that masking, or paying the technician to come back out and removing that for you. But that's all for now. If you have any more questions, you can see our website. We got some more details on there. You can also give us a call and speak with our representatives. But we thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.